Welcome back, CEDIA 2020. Thanks for joining us here this morning or afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. We are Modus VR, coming from Utah, and I'm here in Washington State. So thanks for joining us for our next demo. This demo is going to include a commercial application of a Zoom room. So a lot of people look at Modus and say, wow, that's awesome, but we just don't do that many theater rooms. And that's the beauty of Modus. It's not limited to theater rooms or AV installations in typical media rooms. You can do just about anything your heart's content. We've even seen we had a customer who actually built a wedding venue because he needed to prove to his wife that or his fiance, I suppose at the time, that he couldn't fit the extra 30 people into the space they had planned. So really it's the bounds of Modus are the bounds of your imagination. So we're going to jump into the next demo here. We do appreciate you following us throughout this journey through the 2 days of CEDIA. So what we're demonstrating is from start to finish the power of using Modus to sell and design audio-video systems in virtual reality. So Modus is a platform that we've built from the ground up. It includes a few different components, and the first you're looking at right now on screen is what we call the launcher. So this is where everything for Modus begins. And this is really just about the only thing that doesn't happen in VR is the initial creation of the room. And then the final step, which is just exporting the deliverables. So we'll show you from start to finish in about 20 minutes how quickly and powerful this tool works. And we'll start off right now by coming in here to Files, and I'm just going to create a new space. And we're going to call this Zoom Room. Hit create here, and so we've got two options. We've got simple and complex. Now with rooms like the one that we're about to do, which is really just a rectangle, you can use this simple creation tool and just enter the dimensions of the room. But I do want to show everybody this new feature that we have. We have some pre-built floor plans here, so I'm just going to pull up a floor plan of this room, and I believe this is room 11. I believe this is the right one. Guys, can you confirm that it's room 11? Okay, perfect. I just got confirmation. It is room 11. So this is a blueprint that was generated. Now this is actually a little faint, but I'm just going to go ahead and calibrate it here so we can make it a little darker. So we can darken these images, and now that I can actually see the dimensions, I can recalibrate it. And you'll notice that this is actually done in metric. So the software does work in both metric and imperial dimensions. So 595 cm. And you'll see what happened right there is it actually re-rotated the image to make it square with the format of the software. And so what we're able to do from this point here, now that we've got our reference image calibrated, is I can actually go in here and I can start drawing some walls. Now I'm just going to double check the height of this room. It's supposed to be 298 centimeters. So let's just change this over to metric. And it looks like we're a little bit short, so we'll go 298 cm. Hit return, and I'm going to change my snapping to 1 centimeter. It's going to be super precise. Alright, and so from this point we can just go in here and start adding walls. So to do that, I click the Add Walls button right here at the top of the screen, and to come back in here and that did not save. There we go. Click on this wall, and I'll just start dragging walls in. It's really a simple process. So I create my first wall, and then I click on this end of the wall, and it will actually create a right angle for me. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come in here and create all of the exterior walls of the room. Now because this room is just a real basic rectangle, this is actually about as simple as it gets. Now we know that the width of the room is 595, so I'm going to get these outside walls pretty close here to where they are on the drawing, and then from this point we can actually fine-tune these as well by just coming in here and clicking the dimensions that we know we want. So we know that the length of the room is 762. It's right here on the floor plan. So I'll just type that in, 762 cm, and that's going to shorten the walls accordingly. Now, what's going to end up happening is it's going to shorten it from the wall that I have selected. So let's try this again. There we go, 762 cm. Great. So that snapped right on there. That's perfect. And then we'll just realign this one right there. And our width is supposed to be 595. So what I'll do is I'll actually do it from this wall, which looks like it's quite a bit off of the floor plan right now. 595 cm. Great. Alright, so that's all lining up perfectly to the floor plan. So once you have it lined up, and if your room has more complicated details, like maybe there's another box over here or something like that, you can You can kind of draw as many walls as your heart's content, but we do require that the outer boundaries of the VR space get defined in this portion of the software. So once we've done that, we actually move on to the VR portion. So we're going to go ahead and I'm not going to tell the guys, but we're going to time them and see how long it takes them to throw the Zoom room together. It's not a super complicated space, but it has a lot of cool stuff in it, some cool AV gear. And so I'm going to check in with the guys right now. Hey, Ken. Hey, Scott. Are you guys there?
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Patrick. Guys. All right, so let me switch over to the view. All right, and I see you guys on screen. I believe that they can hear you outside. And so let's just go ahead and let's get started.
Okay, this is Ken in green.
And this is Scott in blue.
All right, so as you can see, it's a completely empty room. Sorry, Ken, go ahead. I'll let you kind of navigate.
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to say, what we are working on right now is pretty modern and clean conference room. The goal here is just something that looks nice, that can show a good Zoom room layout, and not take a whole lot of time putting it together.
And so it looks like you guys have kind of divided up responsibilities. Looks like Scott started on that front wall with some acoustic treatment, and now he's just adding some architectural details to the ceiling, while Ken, it looks like you're putting in the windows and doors. Typically we don't work with two people on the design side of things, but there's really no limitation to that, is there, Ken?
No, not really.
None that we've experienced yet, anyway. And we've had as many as about 10 people in VR together. It gets a little chaotic. People start adding whatever comes to mind. Usually becomes more of a, like I think you said, it becomes more entertainment than it does productivity. But it's cool to be able to collaborate in VR with more than just one person. And so to expedite this process, we've got both guys kind of drawing things up, and we've divvied up the responsibilities, but we'll just multiply the time it takes them to build out this Zoom room by 2, to be fair. And so Zoom rooms are interesting for us because obviously I think it's the hot technology right now. And conference spaces, anything that can bring technology and keep the world connected is, I think, a really important part of the environment today.
Yeah, certainly is. And the thing about a Zoom room is the software Zoom has made the conference experience wonderful, consistent, easy, but it still can be challenging to figure out where everything needs to go, and figuring out, all right, well, how many screens do I want to support for this type of setup? And so Modus helps handle all those things really easily, helps you visualize, and of course all the other benefits of being able to simply try out ideas that might be a little unorthodox. All the same benefits of Modus on the residential side also apply on the commercial as well.
Nice. So as you can see on the screen here, so everything that's being brought into the room is coming from this kind of like almost like a tablet. It's a virtual tablet that Ken's using. He can select different materials, different objects, all the customization of the room to make it look and feel just the way we want it to go. All comes from this control panel surface. And so Scott looks like he's just getting the last few details wrapped up. I think there's going to be a conferencing camera on the front wall there, and I think Ken's going to put some chairs in, and I think we've got a Zoom room, guys.
Yeah, we are pretty
We are
close.
almost there.
Let's do white leather. Yeah, that looks nice.
Got that plush executive feel.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so this room looks like it features 3 separate screens. What were the design decisions for that, Ken? You said this comes from Zoom's standard spec?
Yeah, Zoom has single, double, and triple monitor setups. And so we wanted to do a double monitor setup at the front of the room, and then just a secondary monitor over here. And that basically ensures that everybody can have a good look at what's going on, but there's still a central focal point at the front of the room where the camera is. And last on the list, we're going to add a little bit of conferencing equipment here.
Okay.
We'll do the Crestron Mercury, which is a fun little commercial product. But yeah, I think
that's it. Yeah. Got everything.
We all dialed in?
Looks like
that
it.
is not our actual meeting ID, folks. Don't worry about that.
So Patrick, how long did that one take us?
You guys are just over 4 minutes, so we'll call it 10 minutes total if it were one person doing it all by themselves. Now, to be fair,
Yeah.
we know the spec of this room. We've built this room a few times, so typically what Scott handles a lot of this with our customers. I would say, Scott, what 30 to 40 minutes is our average build time for most rooms? Would you say?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Oh, Scott has left. Scott has left the
Yeah.
building, folks. Scott,
Scott's
I was
out.
looking for him. Scott's gone.
But yeah, usually it's 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the complexity of the room, how much time you're spending brainstorming versus just reconstructing. A simple rectangular room like this, you don't have a whole lot of wiggle room. In this particular case, there was glass on two sides, so there wasn't a whole lot of exploration that needed to happen. But perhaps this rear wall didn't have any glass on it. That might leave us a little bit more wiggle room to come up with different solutions. And so what we've shown right now is the first part of the Modus experience. That's the build. So that starts, Patrick, in the 2D floor plan editor like you were doing, and then the room is populated in VR. Typically, clients aren't present for that part. They're not watching. They don't really need to. I mean, they can, but there's not a whole lot of value in that. The second part of the Modus experience is the presentation side, and this is where it's the integrator's opportunity to shine. Ideally, they would bring the client into VR with them. That's not always practical, so in other cases, they can do a live stream of a session, just like we're doing right now. But then there's also several other deliverables that can be created that you'll get into in a little bit. But when you're presenting to the client, Modus offers all sorts of options. For example, just tossing content up on the screen so the client can view how things are going to look from any seat in the house. And that one's pretty straightforward, but in a conference room setting, it's a big challenge. Oftentimes, screens are simply too small, and the customer ends up being unhappy because they can't use that conference room as well as they would like. But on top of that, we can also do things to visualize the capabilities of the equipment in the room. So for example, we have this Crestron Mercury here. This is an all-in-one device that has a microphone and a speaker in it. And speccing a proper piece of equipment based on room size is a critical part of the design process that is sometimes overlooked. And to help with that, Modus also visualizes things like the microphone pickup pattern. And this is fully interactive, so as I move this around, you can see this little dome. In fact, I'll even put it in the corner to really illustrate that microphone pickup pattern. And so as we put this thing at the middle of the table, we can very quickly check to see if every single seat is within that pickup range, and it is. So we know that this microphone is going to perform well in here. And a nice benefit of this microphone in particular is that door and most of the glass is just outside the range of this microphone. So you're actually going to minimize the amount of hallway noise being picked up. Things like this, obviously you could pull out a pen and paper and draw out the radius of this microphone based on the spec, but in Modus, you can convey these concepts in a couple of seconds, quickly swap through different products, help guide the client to the products that you think are going to meet their needs best, and in the end, have your clients be that much more delighted, have that much more trust, and of course, have them be interested in coming back to work with you again for their next project.
Yeah, and being
So
able to
pretty
walk
powerful way to
around the
present.
bubble is really an immersive experience. I mean, it's great to see it, like you said, on paper, but it's not the same as walking around in the actual space. Even though you're not really there, the virtual experience gives you the ability to see scale and just feel the size of the room, and or sometimes how small a room is in some cases.
Exactly. And so that's where the benefit of Modus comes into play when you're doing a real-time presentation where the client can ask questions and give feedback. And because the tools are so fast, the salesperson or designer on the integration team can react to questions and call an audible. Maybe they need to make one screen larger. It takes a split second to do that. But in addition to being able to do these real-time design sessions, we also have other deliverables that you can give to a client, things like over email. Some of those are photos, line drawings, and even we've got an upcoming feature called Panoramic 360. And I'll turn it back over to you, Patrick, so you can show how that works.
Sure, thanks, Ken. All right, so once we're done with the creation portion, and obviously there's a presentation portion that you typically would do with your customer, you're going to move back to the launcher. So we'll pop back over here, and we've saved this space, so I'm going to go ahead and load it up. and you'll see that we have a few options here. So this is the space. You can see there's a little thumbnail here of the room as it was designed. So we've got Modus Photo, which is what we'll come to at the very end, and then the editing floor plan, that's where we started. Creating line drawings, where we want to go next. And so the first thing it's going to do is it's going to take the VR session that you just saved, and it's going to export this floor and ceiling view. So these are default views that automatically come up. So we've got a ceiling view that's a reflected ceiling plan, and I've got the floor plan. As I mentioned, those are automatically generated. If we need additional elevations, we can just go in here and click the Add Camera button. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. We'll call this one the front wall elevation. Apologize for my extremely clicky keyboard. And so there's some hotkeys you can use that will actually help snap these to certain parts of the space. And again, that's all listed over here in the tips and tricks section. So if you ever have a question and can't figure out how to do something, or you're looking for a faster way to do something, tips and tricks is a great little helper. I'm going to go ahead and close that so that we can see the whole thing here and try and make this as big as possible. So we're going to go ahead and do front wall elevation. We'll do rear wall elevation, like so. And so you'll see on the left side over here we have a nice preview of all these different elevations as well. So this actually shows all the individual acoustic panels we've installed, the cabinets, 2 televisions, the Polycom camera, as well as the large single banner that said Zoom Rooms. This guy, so for this view, I'm actually going to pull this back a bit and grab the table and chairs as well, because I think those are an important part of showing the view, and we'll explain why in a moment when I start annotating this. And then we'll call this side wall 1 elevation, and we'll call that there. And we'll do something similar actually with this one, where we pull it back and grab a bit more of that elevation so we can see the chairs. And I'll just replicate this by clicking Alt and snapping that around. And then this one will actually exclude the table and chair, so you just see the whiteboard, the single monitor, the window, and the cabinet. So once you're happy with your views, and you can set up really as many of these as you want, or some people just want the ceiling and floor plan. Once you're done creating the views, you can pop in here and actually start annotating things. And so we can actually add a note here. This is the whiteboards, and then we can also add the dimensions. So let's go ahead and pop in some dimensions here. So the total width of both whiteboards is 710 by 7.8, so pretty large, good area. And maybe we also want to call out for our, for the whoever's going to be doing the general contracting and installing these. Maybe we want them to know that they're 1 foot from the ceiling and 1 foot from the floor. So you can pop in some of these dimensions. You can mark this up really as much as you want. You can also, if you hover over something, you can actually see what the object is. So it'll actually give you a little tooltip. So this is cabinet. So if you're ever confused about what you're looking at, you can kind of come in here and hover over it for a moment. So like for instance, custom art. This is showing this is the flat panel VMT from Vcoustic, which are those acoustic panels. Polycom Eagle Eye. So all these things can actually be called out from here. We'll just give a quick dimension on the cabinetry. I think that's kind of an important one. And then the height of the camera, I would say, is important as well. So let's just call that out and drag it over there. Excellent. And then these televisions, you can kind of annotate this as much as you want. So I'm sure some folks will want to give a lot of really good info, and then sometimes you just want the real basic stuff. All right, so I'm pretty comfortable with what we've got there. So once you've got all your elevations drawn up and you're happy with your dimensions, you can then come in and generate drawings. And this is going to be called Zoom Room for CEDIA HQ. And we'll adjust this here. So this is going to be my AV company now. It's not Ken's anymore. All right, cool. I don't know if that's a real website. If it is, I guess you're welcome for the traffic, or sorry for the traffic, one way or another. At any rate, so here we go. Now we've got this. We can generate the drawings. You'll see there's a number of PDFs already created in Explorer. Actually, you guys don't see Explorer. So once we're done there, it exports out to a PDF, and I'll switch over to the PDF viewer. So this is just Acrobat, and basically you're able to see all these drawings now formatted in a nice, professional, presentable way. Gives a scale down here. Everything is drawn to scale. All of your company information is populated, as well as the room, the project name, and the different views that you've created. And just scroll through these real quick. You'll see the annotations here. We can zoom in on this. So it creates a nice professionally formatted packet of information that you can hand off to the customer. You can hand it off to another trade as well. So maybe you, like I said, you want to have the general contractor mounting these whiteboards at the right spot. Because a lot of this stuff, especially with Zoom rooms, is fairly specific on the equipment positioning. You certainly want it to get done right the first time. So you can create this document, email this off. It's just a PDF. We'll also post this to the CEDIA page there. It's under the demo deliverables page. And about 5 minutes after the demo wraps up, we'll have those all posted. So the great thing about this is that obviously you can add a lot of really useful information for someone doing an installation or just for reference for the customers. Outside of that, though, we can get a lot more excitement out of doing some high quality renders. So let's just pop over here. We're back in the launcher now. I'm going to go ahead and save the room and go back. And let's just jump into Modus Photo. Now Modus Photo is a companion app to the existing Modus VR that you know and love. And so I'll jump over here. Hopefully this will pop in pretty quick. Takes just a second for it to sync up. There we go. So here's the same view that we saw earlier. However, you'll notice that the lighting is tuned a little bit differently. This is designed to give us a much more presentable look for when we're doing our screenshots. And this isn't being controlled by VR anymore. Now I'm actually just driving around using my keyboard and mouse. You can also use like a gaming controller. So I have an Xbox controller next to me. And so this actually gives you some nice smooth panning. But really the point of this is to find some good points of view to create some nice high quality renders. So what I'll do is I'll just go from the head of the table here, what we might refer to as like the CEO seat. And I'm just going to try and capture all three of the screens. I'll go into my menu here and we can adjust our zoom as well as our focal length. So if we wanted to blur certain things out, do some background blurring. But really what I want to do is fire up a little media here and we'll put on those presentations. Just get some graphs and charts up. And we can also go in and fine-tune the lighting. So I can bring the house lighting down quite a bit, and then we can adjust these ceiling lights as much as we want to really create a nice effect. Obviously we want to keep some of that detail with the ambient lighting. That's looking pretty good. I don't think there's any other types of lights in this room. Let's take a quick peek here. Looks pretty good. Got some good brightness. So once you're happy with the view, you can then go in here, and if you're using the controller, you'll see in the top right corner it says press the A button to take a photo. You can also press Enter on your keyboard, which I'm going to do right now. And that actually takes a quick snapshot of what you're looking at, and you'll see in the bottom left corner of the screen there's a little thumbnail of it. Now let's just pan around and get another view of this room. Maybe we'll want to include the Mercury in this one. Who knows? And you can do as many of these as you want. We'll just take a couple just to have it, and maybe we want to put some different content on the screen too, just for kicks. Maybe we want to show what what it would be like to watch sports in the Zoom room. Who knows? We also have, I think, coming up eventually, we've got the ability to present some spreadsheet data, so you can actually show people what it's like to share a screen of a spreadsheet. Ken, maybe you can confirm that in my ear if you have a moment. But this will give us a quick shot here. And make it a little wider. Adjust the lighting a bit. All right, cool. All right, so now you've got a couple screenshots. After you've got your renders done, you can also create your 360 views. Now, a couple things about both the renders and the 360. So the biggest thing with these high resolution, professionally designed images is that in a typical scenario, especially in the AV industry, there's not a lot of people doing high-res renders like we're showing here. And those who are, they're either using someone in-house, and I think that's probably not the majority, that's probably the minority, or have an on-staff person doing their 3D renders and their CAD drawings. A lot of people are outsourcing it. So the time and amount of money it takes to just change one little thing. If I wanted to change something like the table in this room and I was using a traditional rendering method, it could take hours, if not days, or even longer to get the actual professional looking renders done. We're able to do this in a matter of minutes. I mean, the demo's been going for 25 minutes, and we already have some really good content to hand off to the customer, and it costs nothing to add these on. So you just come in here, go into Modus Photo, find the views that you're happy with, and we'll just change this back to the presentation. And then once you've got the content on the screen, we can also do the newest feature of Modus, which is Modus 360. 360 photos. So what this allows us to do is find a position in the room. So I'm going to take it right here from this table. I'm just taking a quick look around the room to make sure I'm happy with where I'm positioned and that I'm seeing everything I want. I pick a position to start from, and then I'm just going to hit excuse me, I'm just going to hit the X button on my controller. You'll see up top in the right corner it says X is Make 360. So I'm going to press the button, and you'll see this little screen pop up for a quick moment there, and now the 360 image is done. And so to show you what that's actually done, I'm going to pop back over here to the launcher and go to my online, click the image that we just created and a shareable URL, and I'll pop this into the chat as well. So there's the 360 image that we've just created available. So the great thing about this is that it's not something that you need hardware or a supercomputer to open up. It's a web link that you can send to your customer via instant message. You could send it on a text message even. As long as they can open it up on a device that has a web browser, they can see this 360 image. So it's a great way for your customer to take something home that's a slice of that VR experience to show, to show the family, show their friends. If it's a business opportunity, they can show their business partners, or maybe they're going to show another business this cool Zoom room that you guys created for them. And so the benefit here is that it's a deliverable that can be consumed immersively in any type of device. So that's really the beauty of Modus 360 and Modus as a whole. So we've shown you from start to finish the process of creating a room, the creation process, the actual presentation process, which Ken showed using some of those illustrations like the microphone pickups, and now the deliverables, so what you can send home with your customer, all in under 30 minutes. We're at about the 9:30 mark. We started at 5 after the hour. So I feel like we've done a great job here of consuming all the information, gathering it all up, and now sending it home. All this will be available on the website under the Demo Deliverables tab. So check those out. Stop back for the next demo. It'll be in about 30 minutes. The next room is going to be, let's see if I can figure out what the next room is. The next room is going to be a theater room. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. This is an Acoustic Innovations theater room. So stop in, check it out. We'll be back in about 30 minutes with our next demo. Appreciate you all joining us here at Modus VR this year for CEDIA 2020. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Enjoy your lunch if that's the point of the day you're in. We'll see you on the next one.